Have you ever felt so swept up in love that it felt like madness? Or maybe you've wondered if there's a deeper, more spiritual side to attraction that we often miss. If so, you're not alone. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato was thinking about these exact same things over 2,000 years ago, and he wrote them all down in one of his most beautiful and puzzling dialogues, the Phaedrus. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's journey back to ancient Athens to unpack one of the most profound explorations of love, madness, and the human soul ever written. The story begins on a hot summer day outside the city walls of Athens. The famous philosopher Socrates bumps into his young, handsome friend, Phaedrus. Phaedrus is visibly excited. He's just come from hearing a speech by Lysias, one of the most famous speechwriters of the day, and he's got the scroll with him. The speech, he says, is brilliant, its topic. Why it's better to give your affection to someone who is not in love with you rather than someone who is. Socrates, ever curious, is intrigued. They find a shady spot by a stream, under a plane tree, and Phaedrus reads Lysias's speech aloud. The argument is very logical, very calculated. Lysias argues that a lover is mad, jealous, possessive, and irrational. They'll praise you to the skies when they're in the grip of passion, but once that passion fades, they'll regret everything and might even turn against you. A non-lover, on the other hand, is clear-headed. They'll act in your best interest, they won't become possessive, there's no drama, and the friendship can continue on a stable, rational basis long after the physical relationship is over. It's a very pragmatic, almost business-like approach to relationships. At first, Socrates playfully praises the speech for its style, but he hints that he's not really impressed by its content. He claims he could give a better speech on the very same topic, arguing the same point but more convincingly. Goaded on by Phaedrus, Socrates agrees. He covers his head, as if ashamed of the argument he's about to make, and delivers his first speech. In this speech, Socrates defines love as a form of irrational desire that overpowers our sense of what is right and good. A person in love, he argues, will always prioritize their own pleasure. They'll want to keep their beloved weak, ignorant, and dependent, so they can maintain control. The lover is like a disease, Socrates says, harmful to both the mind and body of the person they desire. It's a powerful and quite negative portrayal of love. But as soon as he finishes, Socrates feels a sense of unease. He feels like he has sinned against Eros, the god of love. His divine sign, that little inner voice that often warns him against doing wrong, has been active. He realizes he can't just leave it at that. Both his speech and Lysias's speech were terrible because they only described the worst kind of love, treating it as a purely negative force. To make amends, he must offer a second speech, a palinode or recantation, this time in praise of love. And this is where the dialogue truly takes flight. Socrates' second speech is one of the most famous and poetic passages in all of philosophy. He begins with a radical idea: madness isn't always a bad thing. In fact, he says, the greatest blessings in life often come to us through a form of divinely inspired madness. There's the madness of prophecy, the madness of ritual healing, and the creative madness of poetry. And then there is the fourth and highest kind, the madness of the lover. To explain this divine madness, Socrates introduces his famous myth of the soul as a chariot. Imagine, he says, that your soul is a chariot. It's composed of a charioteer and two winged horses. The charioteer represents reason, your intellect, the part of you that guides and makes decisions. One of the horses is noble and good. It's white, well-behaved, and represents your spirited, honorable impulses, your ambition, your courage. It's easy to guide because it listens to reason. The other horse, however, is the complete opposite. It's a dark, crooked, powerful beast that represents your appetites and base desires. It's unruly, wild, and constantly tries to pull the chariot off course towards earthly pleasures. Before we were born into these bodies, Socrates explains, our souls flew through the heavens in these chariots, following the gods. In this divine procession, we were able to catch glimpses of true reality, the world of the forms. This is a perfect, eternal, unchanging realm where things like absolute beauty, justice, and goodness exist. This is the truth our souls yearn for. But keeping the two horses in check is incredibly difficult. Most souls can't maintain their altitude. The dark horse of desire pulls them downward. They get into chaotic collisions with other chariots. Their wings break, and they fall down to earth, where they become trapped in a physical body. And once we're here, we forget most of what we saw in that higher realm. We are living in a shadow of that true reality. So what does all of this have to do with love? Well, when we see a beautiful person here on earth, that physical beauty acts as a trigger. It's a powerful reminder, a faint echo, of the absolute divine beauty we once glimpsed in the world of the forms. This memory awakens something deep within our soul. The good white horse is thrilled by this, recognizing a connection to the divine. But the dark, bad horse just sees an object of physical desire and lurches forward, trying to satisfy its appetites. The charioteer, our reason, is caught in a struggle. He has to pull back on the reins with all his might to control the dark horse. This internal battle, this turmoil, this intense feeling that pulls you in two different directions at once, that Socrates says, is the madness of love. It's the soul's wings beginning to regrow, sprouting painfully, causing an itch and an irritation as they push to break free and fly back to that divine realm. So, a true lover isn't just seeking physical gratification. They are on a spiritual quest. By being with their beloved, they are reminded of truth and beauty, and they try to cultivate those same virtues in the person they love. The relationship becomes a shared journey of philosophical growth, where both souls help each other's wings to grow stronger, preparing them for the return journey to the heavens after death. This is a far cry from the selfish, possessive lover described in the first speeches. This is love as a force for spiritual and intellectual elevation. After this breathtaking speech, the conversation shifts. Phaedrus is completely won over. The dialogue then turns to the nature of speech-making and writing itself. Socrates criticizes Lysias's speech not just for its bad argument, but for its poor structure. A good speech, he argues, should be like a living creature, with a head, body, and feet, a clear beginning, middle, and end, all parts working together organically. Then Socrates makes his famous critique of the written word. He compares writing to a painting. A painting looks like a living thing, but if you ask it a question, it remains silent. Writing is the same. It can't defend itself, it can't answer follow-up questions, and it can be easily misunderstood when it falls into the wrong hands. It creates a false sense of wisdom, making people think they know something just because they've read it. The best kind of writing, Socrates argues, is not done with ink on a page, but is written directly into the soul of the learner through live, interactive conversation, through dialogue. This living, breathing knowledge can defend itself, adapt to its audience, and truly lead to understanding. This, of course, is a defense of his own method of philosophy, dialectic. It's a living exchange between two people who are genuinely seeking the truth together. So, what are the big takeaways from the Phaedrus? First, it gives us a layered and complex vision of love. Love is not just one thing. It can be a destructive, selfish appetite, but it can also be a divine madness that sets our soul on a path toward truth and beauty. The dialogue encourages us to ask what kind of love we are pursuing. Second, it presents a powerful metaphor for the human condition with the chariot myth. We are all engaged in a constant internal struggle between our reason, our noble ambitions, and our baser desires. The goal of life, in a way, is to learn how to steer our chariot effectively. And finally, it makes a profound point about communication and learning. True knowledge isn't passively received from a text. It's actively cultivated through conversation, questioning, and shared inquiry. The Phaedrus doesn't give us easy answers. It leaves us with powerful images and challenging ideas. It asks us to look at love not just as an emotion, but as a philosophical journey. It asks us to consider the struggle within our own souls, and to think about how we truly come to know anything at all. It's a conversation that started under a plane tree in ancient Greece, but it's one that continues to resonate with us today. Every time we fall in love, every time we struggle with temptation, and every time we seek a deeper understanding of the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into Plato's Phaedrus. If you enjoyed this exploration, please hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into the greatest ideas in philosophy. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of the chariot myth? Let's keep the dialogue going. See you in the next video.